Hi everyone and welcome to Unleash, and today I'm very excited, honored and very over the moon to introduce our very special guest today, Angela Soudi, and she is also part of the family business for Arena Capital, and they have a group of different companies, and she has been part of the entire Arena Capital for a long time. And as you all know, we have a very special Gladiator movement and summit happening in November. So let me introduce to you my very special guest, Miss Angela. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you for inviting me today. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we are more than happy to have you with us today, and I would like you to introduce yourself and tell us what you have been busy with, because she's very busy with so many amazing projects that she's handling. One of them that I would love to highlight is the Junior Gladiator project, and also a lot of events that have been happening back to back. So please do share with us your beautiful commitments.
Thank you. Well, thank you first of all. It's really nice to be here. So, as you said, my name is Angela Soudi. I'm British. I've been in Dubai now for the past 15 years, building different businesses along the way. And now at the moment we are focusing very much on the event called Gladiator Summit, which is all about inspiring, motivating and bringing people together in a space that they can not only feel safe, but also they can be entertained, they can learn, they can be inspired, be motivated by other speakers. So for this particular event, which is our biggest one to date, we've been running these now for a few years, but not to this size. And we have 24 world-renowned speakers joining us, literally from all over the world.
Wow.
To share their secrets and their tips and tricks to how to build an abundant and successful life. And one thing that all these speakers have in common is that they all started with nothing. So they're all sharing how they grew themselves both mentally, emotionally, financially to live this beautiful life that they have today.
Beautiful, and being a witness to it and their beautiful journey. The last event that we had, Mr. Soudi and Angela, they all put together a beautiful one in April, which was a complete sold out, and we had a lineup of 12 speakers, and it was a complete unique event, and it was so educational, motivational, transformational, anything on those highlighted, because it brought so many inspiring stories and people were able to get such amazing takeaways from the entire event, and we couldn't wait to have the second one, and we're so super excited just from talking about it now. We can't wait. So tell us how did you think, if I may go to the Junior Gladiator project that you have, and it's just so nice that how you are bringing the enlightenment to the young minds. How did it all start?
Really by accident and purely organic. So we were running we used to call them the Gladiator Mastery events before we changed the name to the Summit. And we would get between 30 to 50 people. I think you attended some of these events way back.
Yes.
And we would run these events for 2 days. And during that 2 days, people would come and they would learn everything that they needed, the soft skills that they needed to make their own businesses more successful. So it could be anything related to sales, negotiation, closing deals, profits. But also there was a lot of mindset work, because being an entrepreneur, of course, it all starts in the mind.
Yes.
So we brought a lot of personal development into that training as well. And then through that journey of running these events, many people would come and say, oh, I have kids at home. I think this would be really valuable to teach the children. These skills that you're teaching here is invaluable for kids too. And why do they not teach these things in school? And why are schools not talking about financial literacy and financial independence? So we said, okay, well, why don't we create a smaller version for children where we can start to gradually introduce entrepreneurship to kids and all the principles around entrepreneurship, and also start talking about finances and financial freedom, financial independence. and also financial management, because again that's missing in today's education system.
Truly, yes.
And that was the plan, and it just kind of took on a life of its own. And then before I knew it, we had a podcast where we were bringing kids in that were already running their businesses here in Dubai. Very successful, by the way, earning money on the market, selling their products and services.
Phenomenal.
It was just such a beautiful journey, and it's kind of developed from there. And now we have an events team that help us manage and deploy these events. And the events team are all kids. So these are all kidpreneurs that have experience in business. They come into the events, they share their stories, their inspirations, their challenges, and they're the ones that are teaching the children. So for children getting into business or entrepreneurship, they see adults as doing that, and it seems like the gap is too big. But when a child, maybe 9 or 10, is hearing from another child who's 9 or 10
Yes.
about their business and how they're earning money, it's very relatable for them. So we try to make the events as fun as we can. We bring other businesses in that have meaningful activities or messages. So the last event that we had, we brought Warrior Academy in, and they did some taekwondo with the kids, teaching them resilience and overcoming their own mental barriers, which again is, it kind of works hand in hand with business. And we created an environment where the children actually went through the steps of finding out, first of all, what is their passion and their purpose.
Right.
Because I think that also is missing. We go through this education system, we go to school, we go to college, we go to university, and then we go into work, and then we realise we're doing something that we don't even enjoy what we're doing.
Absolutely.
But nobody said, okay, before you take this path, what makes you feel happy? What is it that makes your heart sing? We're not having these conversations with kids.
Not at all.
So the beginning of the events is really all about finding your passion and your purpose. What is it that you love to do? And then how can we turn your passion into something that can then generate an income? So how can we build a business from that? And we go through the steps. We talk about marketing, we talk about sales, negotiation. They do some practical negotiations with each other. It's really fun. And then at the end of the event, they have to create a pitch deck for their product or service. And they actually pitch their product to investors, which are kids.
Like Shark Tank.
A little bit like Shark
Yes.
Tank, correct, yeah, or Dragon's Den. And then what that teaches them is that they're able to deliver their concept in a really clear and precise way, but it's really great for their confidence.
Yes.
Because suddenly now they're getting into, without realising, they're getting into public speaking and presenting, that are things that, even as adults, I'm petrified of public speaking still till now. So it's helping kids to understand that all these little games and activities that we do,
Wonderful.
they are actually really valuable life skills that they can take home with them.
Amazing. Just, I would want my son to be a part of it now when you have the next. And also how you integrated the Warrior Academy and how those, those widely information was actually fused with, mental determination and techniques, and how unconsciously they're learning so many different, which nobody tells them in school.
No.
Yeah.
I think schools are getting better, in my opinion. I mean, even my children's school now, they call it the Makers Market. So once or twice a year, they work with the primary school children, and they have this particular topic. It's called DICE, and they create ideas. I think they just did create a chocolate with a good cause. So they were talking about helping the oceans and how can you do cause marketing to help good causes with a product. And then they sell their products in a market. So they are getting better. I think they are more open to these things now.
I believe so, yes.
But that's not all schools, of course. That's the ones that are more forward-thinking
yes.
and exploring. So it is getting better, but still financial literacy is a big thing for me with kids. It's something that being able to manage your finances when you leave school and you leave university and you're out in the big wide world on your own is a massive skill to have. I mean, it's huge, even for adults now.
Absolutely.
How many people do we know that mismanage their money?
And they're struggling till today.
That's correct.
It's very hot.
Are you?
Yeah, isn't it?
I'm okay. Fine.
So I think that I love the word. It's kidpreneur.
Correct.
It's so amazing, and I don't think anyone is doing this, and it's kind of like a service that you can offer to your children as the elementary steps that a child can undertake at this age, where their mental foundation blocks are being built and no one's really there to guide them. Right. And this is such a beautiful platform because as I see I have been part of all your events for the Gladiators, and
thank you, by the way, because you have always supported all of our events. I appreciate
it's
that.
always a pleasure, and how you are translating it for the younger ones is just something that I can't stop to admire, and I think it's a beautiful journey that you guys have taken, and so many. I can't wait for my son to be part of your next event.
Well, me too. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I want to go a little bit on a different angle and want you to share with us how you have always been connected with the whole being in sync with nature, with the business side, and also with the whole transformational personalities. You have been part of so many, and you've met so many of these wonderful people. Please share about your passion to the side of these people who have been doing a lot of works on mental wellness and
Okay, thank you. I think in terms of mental wellness and this natural way of healing, that was something that I learned that from my mom. So my mom was a nurse. She worked in the NHS, National Health Service in the UK, but she always had this side to her where she wanted to use natural remedies rather than use Western medicine. So she trained during her nursing career. She trained as an aromatherapist, and she was obsessed with aromatherapy oil. So anytime we had a sniffle or a scratch or a cut, she'd run to her. She had this beautiful little box with all her oils inside. She'd run to the oils and she'd administer the oils somewhere for something. They were always burning in the house. I could always smell them. So that was, I guess, my entry level to looking at natural healing. And then when I think my first ever experience of the mind-body connection was when I was 17, and I started my career as a dance teacher. So I was a ballroom dance teacher from being the age of 15, and I trained, and then I taught for a few years afterwards. But this particular time, I was just 17, and I had this group of children. They were between the age of 9 to 12, all girls, and we were practicing a formation, a dance team, for an awards ceremony that was happening. And all these kids came into the studio, and I'd been training them for months and months, so I knew their personalities. And on this particular day, they just couldn't get anything right. They were uncoordinated, their arms were not straight, their legs were not straight. The whole thing was just a mess. And I looked at them and I thought, something's off with these kids. I didn't know what it was, and I didn't have any idea about spirituality or meditation or anything at that point. I was just 17. So I asked all the girls to sit in a circle, and this was quite intuitive because, like I said, I'd never been introduced to meditation or anything like that before. So all the girls sat in a circle, and I asked them to imagine that in the middle of the circle there was a bucket or a bowl. And I asked them all, is there something that's bothering you? And they went around the circle and they all shared something that was weighing them down. So it could have been one of the girls witnessed her parents arguing in the morning.
Oh.
Another of the children had fallen out with her BFF, her best friend. Another one, her dog was sick. So there were all these little problems that these children were carrying. And then I said to them, okay, now imagine to put all these problems that you're carrying, put them inside the bucket or in the bowl, and then imagine the bowl floating up into the sky and going out of the window. Just very simple. And then I didn't say anything, I just squeezed the hands, and I said, give everybody a squeeze, and they all squeezed hands, and then I left them, and I said, okay, into position. And I went to we had record players in those days, there was no, CDs or Apple Music. I went to the record player and I played the record, and they just started to dance.
Wow.
And honestly, Sameera, I've never seen anything as incredible. I get teary-eyed when I say it because it's so precious to me. And I remember in that moment I thought, wow, what we carry up here has a massive impact on this.
Absolutely.
Our mental constraints or our mental pressures or problems have a really significant impact on our physical body. And they danced their hearts out. And
Beautiful.
it was the best performance I've ever seen. And then I started to bring this practice into my sessions. And that was my first introduction, that actually everything that goes on up here plays out in the physical. And then of course I started to read, and I got more into the mind-body connection, sicknesses, illnesses, where do they come from, how can we heal our own body, and that journey just progressed really. And then back in 2009, my father passed away, and a few months after he passed away, and I'm sharing this story at the summit for the first time ever, and a few months after he passed away, my mum was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I was scared that I was going to lose her too. So her and I went on this very deep healing journey together. We were meditating multiple times a day. We were eating only healthy, nutritious food, no inflammatory foods. We walked in nature. We did all these beautiful practices, and she healed her cancer.
Beautiful. But you went through that entire process of the diet and
everything, and complete cleanse, mind, body, spirit cleanse, absolutely. And
that's a miracle.
And she had stage 3 breast cancer, so it was quite progressed. But she's still with me today, and we managed to work through that. So I've seen these miracles with this health and with this internal work that we can do. I've seen it so many times with myself, getting over the grief of my dad, helping Darish to get healthy after his heart attack. There's so many experiences that I've gone through that have taught me that this and this, it's all one. What we think in the mind manifests in the body. And I think that's why I'm passionate about really working with kids, also to help them to understand that a healthy mind is a healthy body, and the two work in synergy.
I think how you have actually experienced the whole process by aligning yourself with being connected and understanding how being close to nature, a healthy lifestyle, and having a positive environment around you can so much facilitate the health and the people around.
True, 100%. And I'm a seeker as well. I'm always, in fact, my youngest son said to me the other day, I listen to podcasts all the time about business, health, wellness, parenting. And the other day I had my kids in the car and I was listening to a podcast, and my youngest son, who's 10, he said to me, "Mummy, what are you listening to?" I said, "Oh, this is actually about the mind-body connection and how we can control our thoughts." And he said, "Why are you listening to this?" I said, "Well, Mummy likes to learn." And he said to me, "But Mummy, old people don't need to learn anymore."
Oh!
So in his head, you learn through school, and then when you get old, you don't need to learn. And I said, "No, actually, learning is a beautiful thing, and Mummy likes to learn and expand her knowledge. And when you leave school and you can learn things that you're passionate about,"
yes,
because I mean, who wants to learn about algebra, and these topics are not interesting to him. So when you choose what you learn about, then you'll have a passion for learning. Maybe now at school it's not the case, but later on, hopefully you will.
That is... Wow, so that is something so sweet that your children are actually being inspired by you.
Well, I hope so.
They're seeing
maybe later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, your boys are doing such a great job. I can see them that they have this, portal of Instagram where they're sharing all their, news stories. How did that start? And you all are so supportive. It's so beautiful seeing that.
It wasn't always like that, I have to say. So the boys, they have their brand. It's called Bros Case, and they came to their father and I don't know, maybe 4 years ago now. And my oldest son said, "I want to be a vlogger. I want to be a YouTuber." And I said, "Absolutely not." Really, I had this thing about the kids being online and showing their life. It didn't sit well with me. So I said, no, I'm not. And Darish was very supportive. He said, no, if that's what they want, let them do it. And I said, okay, the thing about anything to do with online, the key is consistency. If you go into this, you have to have consistency, you have to have dedication. So what I would suggest is you go away and you think about it and you put a business plan together.
Wow. Yeah.
And you come back in 6 months, and if it's still something that you want to do in 6 months' time, then I'll take it more seriously, and then we'll, help and support you. Thinking I would never hear from them again, because 6 months is a long time. But they did. They came back 6 months later and they had a whole plan, as to how they wanted to build their brand and the kind of content they wanted to create. So we said, okay, let's start. So they started to create, initially it was more lifestyle vlogs, travel, challenges, lifestyle, and they were filming, and we would help them with editing and uploading, and it just grew and grew and grew. And 4 years later, now they've got close to 100,000 followers on YouTube.
Amazing.
Yeah, and they're doing, really well, and they're very, what I've noticed is that they are incredibly focused. My oldest son, Moore, he wants to do vlogging as his career. So for him, he's very methodical. He sits down, he plans his content, he has his own editor, his own content writer, and now he's managing his staff. So he's really stepped up, and he's become very mature through this process. They've gone on their own journey because the younger one is just 10. So right now they're in a bit of a crossroads at the moment where they're trying to define the brand, because the target audience of my oldest son, who's 16, is very different to his brother, who's 10. So I think now is the time that they need to branch and maybe have their own identity. The little one is not so passionate anyway now. He likes other things. But for the older one, he's getting more into gaming and collaborations and promotions. So I think that's something that he's in the office actually now he's got a new content writer, sitting with her, training her. He's just 16,
Wow.
So it's very good for him to go through this process. And I've been so proud and just in awe really of seeing how much he can handle at his young age.
And I just think it so much personifies what we just spoke about, the kidpreneur. It's building so many of those unspeakable skills where they have to organize, they have to engage with the audience, and have to resonate with what is something that they're going to be also liking to see more of. And it's just a beautiful business, not just business, but it's like an educational way of them feeling how it's like to be in the real world.
Of course,
yes.
And also, we are moving into, or we're already in this digital era right now. So with the skills that he's learning, excuse me, he's learning all about algorithms and coding and all the back end of running an online business, which also is really, really valuable. And he enjoys it.
Yeah.
We've built him a little studio at home now, so he's got his recording studio, and he goes in there and he's creating his content. So he's taken it very seriously, and he's learned an awful lot along the way. One thing that I will say is one of the main value-added bonuses to kids getting involved in entrepreneurship is that it brings a family together. And I've seen this with all of the kidpreneurs that I work with. It's very much a family affair.
Yes.
So the child has a passion project. They want to develop this. And then the father gets involved, and he might be the chief financial officer, for example. Then the mum gets involved, and she may be in charge of marketing. And then the sister gets involved, and she might be in charge of design. And then they all go together to a market, and they're selling the products. So I've seen that through this journey of creating these passion projects and this entrepreneurship journey that they go on, it really brings everybody, because we can become quite fragmented as families. Right, one son's doing this, the daughter's doing this, dad's here, mum's there. We're all a little bit apart, especially now everyone's online and doing their own thing. But by bringing this into the family environment, it's nice to sit down and everyone can brainstorm because they've got a common interest, and they can brainstorm ideas and come up with solutions and problem solving. It's a really, really great way of solidifying those family relationships. Beautiful.
That is something so nicely that from the angle that you just pointed out. Angela, also I want to highlight something. For instance, you being married to a beautiful husband, an entrepreneur, and running this family business together, how important it is in general for women to step up and think of, because I always saw you being involved in at work, in the business, being and promoting the family all together, but at the same time you always kept yourself busy with work, and bringing that element. I would like to talk about how important it is for women to think about their financial independence, freedom, and having a certain safe space.
Good question. And this is I guess a very sensitive topic in a lot of ways, because we're not traditionally taught as women to be financially stable or take finances seriously. And that goes generations and generations. You know, the husbands were the hunter-gatherers, and the wives were the nurturers and the carers for the family. So this is very generational. And I have many conversations with mums especially that have gone through this transition. They built their own career, they went through the education, they built their career, and then they got married, and then they had their kids, and they decided as a family to maybe stay at home and rear the children. That's beautiful. The challenge comes in to perhaps when the children have left home, and then the wife or the mother then feels that maybe she's lost a little bit of her identity.
Absolutely.
She doesn't know who she is anymore, because her focus has been on the kids and the family.
Whole life.
And now that's gone, and now she's thinking, who am I? And I guess also at that point, it can be quite scary and quite daunting. I'm nearly 50, so my mindset is very different to what it was when I was 20 or 30. And I'm very aware that, you know, I am going to the other side. Maybe my brain is not quite as sharp. Maybe my skills are not as developed as people that are 20 or 30 that are getting into this digital era. So I think that it's very important for women to understand that we need to maintain a level of financial security when we're going through these stages. And if you're working, that's, you know, also the case. So my advice, and I do talk about this when we're doing the Junior Gladiators, that I talk a lot about passive income and investing and having a residual income.
Yes.
So right now, for example, I started to invest only recently, 4 or 5 years ago, and now I have a very healthy passive income coming in through my own investments. And I choose to work because I enjoy it, and it keeps my mind young, and it keeps me energized.
Very important.
But God forbid anything happened tomorrow to Dariush, or I couldn't work, I still have an income coming in passively. And this is something that I feel is really important, because you never know. You know, you could be married for 40 years, a spouse could pass away, there could be infidelity, the marriage can break down because it gets burnt out for whatever reason. And suddenly we find ourselves in this situation where I'm not financially stable, I don't have anything to fall back on because I've been out of the working game for so many years, and now my skills are obsolete, or I feel my skills are obsolete, and I'm scared. And there are so many women now in this situation that they feel really afraid. But if they had that financial income coming in passively, it takes a huge amount of pressure off. And then you can explore things that you enjoy to do without having the pressures of, I've got to pay my rent, I have to pay for food, I've got to, you know, support my kids.
And the stress.
It's a huge amount of stress, and it's not really talked about enough, especially in the younger generation. You know, think about, we've taught our youngest son to invest and have a passive income. He understands compound growth, so he understands that right now he saved up some money for birthdays and working, and he invested 50,000 dirhams into a investment product that gives him a passive income of 24% a year, which is a good income. So he's earning, but he understands that with that interest that he's earning, he's saving it and he's putting it back into his investment. He's not spending it. He's calculated by the time he's 26, providing he keeps compounding, he'll have about 30 million dirhams in the bank.
Of course.
Just from compounding, not by working, not by selling products and services. Now, whilst I understand, okay, life is not all about money, money makes a big difference. Money gives us freedom, money gives us choices. So it is important, and it's a very, very valuable part of our mental health, knowing that financially we can survive and we're okay.
And you know, I feel like I so much hear what you just said, because so many of us women, we are blind. Like I feel this feeling among most of them, that they just don't want to acknowledge that this is a very important aspect that we just tend to overlook, or just leave it for some day that God is going to take care of it, or something that is not important enough, which is so important.
It's really important, and again, that comes down to, I think, historically, we don't talk. I mean, we never talked about money when I was growing up. If we did, it was in a negative way. My parents were very working class, and so they used to always use phrases like money doesn't grow on trees and who do you think we are, the Rockefellers. So I had a negative relationship with money, and I had to really work through understanding where my blockages were to be able to welcome this abundance into my life. And so parents don't talk to kids about money, and that's something that I feel really passionate about. We should be talking to children about money. They should be understanding how much does this cost, where does money come from, how do I generate money, what is the difference between an employee versus a business owner versus an investor. You know, these are really valuable topics. I mean, we play McDonald's, we play Monopoly with our kids, and we did from a young age to get them to start thinking about, okay, if I have this property and I invest in this property, buy houses or hotels.
I love that. Yes.
The price of the property that I get from my rent goes up. Okay, that makes sense to a child because it's gamified. There's the cash flow game that Robert Kiyosaki developed, which again teaches kids about investing and having a passive income. The game of life teaches kids about investing and passive income,
relationships,
and responsibilities of kids, and and fees. And it's just, we don't have to be too serious about it, but they do need to understand. It's just so important.
Yes.
And we need to be having more of these conversations with kids.
That is so beautifully, you just opened up so many, nostalgic feelings when you used to play all these games, and it brings in so much awareness. Now if I bring another, if we talk about the Gladiator Summit.
Okay.
So I want you, because there are a lot of people, I mean, although we all know how amazing the summit is and it brings these wonderful people from all around the world on this 2-day event, but tell me, like someone who doesn't know, what is it exactly that they're going to be enthralled with and be witnessing?
Oof, I mean, wow, it is transformational, and that's the intention behind it. So we want to create a space where we're bringing really quality speakers that we can learn inspiration, motivation from. Because here's the thing about life, when we're going through life, we can meditate every day, we can do all the things that we're supposed to do, but we're still living as a human, and it's difficult. Being a human is difficult. There's so many things going on, there's many things that we have to deal with. And no matter how much practice we do, it's easy to still trip back to the worry and the stress and this negative mindset. We have to keep working. And I think something like the summit brings all these beautiful, like-minded people together.
I know.
That are enthusiastic about learning, enthusiastic about change, and the energy in the room.
Phenomenal.
I mean, I've got goosebumps, it makes me cry even thinking about it, because there's so much love. When people are together in that safe space and they're learning and developing and they're breaking through these chains and these negative mindsets that are holding them back, it's such a beautiful experience to go through. And just the last one that you came to in April, the event finished, I think at 7 o'clock, but then we had an after party and we thought maybe 100 people will stay. Most people stayed, and they were hugging and kissing and kissing, but connecting and sharing business cards and
didn't want it to end.
Didn't want it to end. And the hype that happened after the event, I mean, social media just blew up because people were sharing their experiences online and what they got from attending.
Yes.
So it's not just about listening to the speakers, it's about connecting with all these beautiful people in the room that are also like-minded on the same journey as you, because entrepreneurship can be lonely. It's a very lonely journey.
Absolutely.
We spend a lot of time on our own. Bringing these people together in a space where they can have a lot of fun. There's lots of fun at this summit. We've got some amazing surprises coming. So there'll be lots of laughter, there'll be crying, there'll be connecting, and a crazy amount of inspiration to go with it. So, I mean, yeah.
I just want to give you a hug in just expressing what a beautiful platform has been created. And also what is so beautiful is the speakers have something so unique to share, because they also had tragedies in life. They also faced all those obstacles and roadblocks, and despite just having the option of failing, they didn't, and they just kept going, and the power to succeed and not take failure as an option, and everything just seemed so right, and which is why, see, people didn't want to leave, and they stayed as long as they could, because that high dopamine, or like
it's infectious. Absolutely.
Cannot put it into words. You have to witness it yourself, and we're so excited, and I just really would love everyone to get their tickets for this event, which is November 15th and 16th, and 16th, 17th.
16th and 17th, Saturday, Sunday.
And it's at the Trade Center, Dubai. And we're having our very special Angela also as a speaker at the event, and I can't wait to see you all. Also, what is the final message that you want to share with all your, we all love you so much, and the family of Arena Capital, they're just bringing so much knowledge, wisdom, education, and transformational energies. What is the message that you'd like to share with all of us?
I think just constantly seek, just keep seeking, keep learning, keep developing. We're on this beautiful journey as humans, and one day this journey will come to an end. And I think as long as we keep that in our mind, one day this will come to an end. We can overcome the challenges, we can move past the difficult times, knowing that.
And also, this has been running in my mind for so long. I wanted to ask Angela, how do you keep up with such a busy husband? Darush is full of energy, and how he's and you both are so busy with your Arena Capital, and how it's like a full back-to-back agenda of itinerary, calendar dates, and then also as a husband and wife, how did it all how do you manage?
Good question. I think the most important thing is that yes, we have our busy lives and we have a lot going on, but we also really actively make time for each other. So we still, after 20 years of being together, we still go on date nights, we still book weekends away together, we laugh a lot, and I think that's really important. So yes, life can be very busy and very serious, but we also have a really good time.
So
we enjoy each other's company, and we do balance our roles. I take on more of a role with the kids. I'm the one doing their activities and their after school things, while Darish is there, in the office and keeping things together there. So it's just about compromise. We compromise a lot, but in a healthy way. We do have fun. We have a lot of fun, and that's really key.
Yes.
Life otherwise can run away with you. So I think keep investing time. Put time aside for those date nights. We travel. We love to travel together, and that's really important. To keep the connection.
Yes, date nights, girls. You need
Date
to
nights.
plan some
nights.
time out for each other after having kids with their own schedules. This is so important,
100%.
and especially when you reach a certain age. But seeing you both together and just making magic happen is just absolutely wonderful, and I'm hoping to. I just can't wait for the Gladiator Summit. And
Me
do
too.
we have a Gladiator 2025 next year?
Probably. The first Gladiator Summit that we did, when we were planning this one, Darish said the day before, "This is it. We'll only do this one. We will never do this again."
Make sure we have it coming.
But it's that feeling, when you've done the event and you see the transformation in people, and you feel the energy. I mean, it's infectious. So of course now there's a second one, and I'm sure there'll be a third one.
Yes.
And a fourth and a fifth. Who knows? Watch this space.
It is so important. No, I mean, I think we won't. You have to make sure that you can push our message to him, and we need to keep seeing these. And also, I remember seeing the boys. They were taking those
They were doing testimonials. They'll do the same this time as well.
That was so wonderful how they were engaged with the speakers, and I can't wait to see them being on stage soon too.
I keep saying to Kaya, he's 16 now, I said, it's nearly your time to. He's not there just yet. He's very comfortable with the camera, but he still has to work on his public speaking in terms of big crowds. So I don't want to push him too much. When he's ready, then
yes,
he'll take stage. But at the moment, maybe 2025.
Yes,
maybe he could MC the next one. Who knows?
Absolutely.
We'll see.
So thank you so much, thank you, Angela, so much for this time. And such amazing, valuable, session where you shared so much insights where we can actually ponder and think about and how we can further improve our lives and just keep up the amazing works that you're doing. And I think I don't have any more words to really appreciate the works that you all have been doing. So we look forward to having you once more, and please stay tuned for the Gladiators Summit event. Make sure to get your tickets, and also for the next Kidpreneur event that Miss Angela will be doing pretty soon after the event. And stay tuned and have a great day.